Joining us now in the Hyundai Texans radio studio, it's Bobby Slowik, offensive coordinator for your Texans. Welcome, Coach.
Yeah, awesome to be here.
Well, it's finally time that we had you here in studio.
First time.
Yeah, the maiden voyage after all these months. Here we go. All right, I want to start here. As you're having some success now, how much of game planning is, hey, I wonder what they're going to try to do to us now, and what can we do about what they might do? It's a chess match, right? How do you see it?
Yeah, it's endless. That always happens. You know, I think the only week that really wasn't like that was Baltimore, because they're playing the guessing game. We're playing the guessing game a little bit. So you kind of mix and match. Okay, let's attack them, but also let's just do what we do. And then after that, it's constant. You know, now what we find as an offense and as a group is you start to find out what you're really good at, you know, and really things you want to do a lot of and really focus and hone in on. And, you know, eventually teams are going to start trying to take that away. And that's why you have to build offsets and you have to make sure that you protect what you're good at with just enough of the other things.
Coach, there are two engineers at this table, so you and I understand science very, very well. So I ask you this question. Play calling, more art or more science?
Definitely both. Definitely both. I feel like, and you know, I'm still young in it, to be fair, but from my experiences so far, I'd say there's without a doubt, there's a science to how you construct a game plan and how you want to approach using it, in particular early on. And then I think there's a big art the later the game gets, and that's really what I'm learning as we go. Is, you know, because at that point you get into more adjustments. You get into, okay, now this is what they're doing to this. What do we have to change? What can we keep doing? How do we set something up in the second quarter that we want to call in the fourth quarter? So that part, I think, is largely an art. Thankfully, I happen to be around one of the guys I thought was, you know, one of the best in the NFL in San Francisco that I learned a lot from.
And your quarterback, the more he can do, the more you can do, right? You've grown together sort of over these last few weeks.
There's no doubt. You know, I've said this multiple times, but coaching CJ has been extremely fun, pleasurable. I mean, it's been awesome. There's no conversations we had that we don't immediately get on the same page. Whether we're, you know, we can be talking about life, but we could be talking about film. He's watched all the film. We could talk about structures, what we want to do going forward, why we maybe want to change something. They're all very quick conversations. It also makes it easy on the sideline. You know, anytime you have to make adjustments or just talk through what he's seeing or why we may want to go to a play and distribute the ball somewhere, they're really fast. Not a lot of convincing needed either way by me or him. It just makes it fun.
Coach, was there an aha moment with CJ? Or was it just gradual? You kept seeing changes and improvements and growth every single day? Or do you have this, like, okay, yeah, this is the moment?
Yeah, both.
Yeah.
Definitely there's constant growth for all young players that come in the NFL that always needs to take place, even through the course of their rookie season.
Right.
And CJ is still going through a lot of that. But I would say during training camp, I can't remember the exact practice, but there was a practice in the middle of training camp, like right before we practiced the Dolphins, where we had kind of been emphasizing when we get pressure, when we're hot, when someone's heating us up with a blitz, what's our reaction? How do we handle it? If the protection is just like they just got more than we do, how do we handle that? And it was something that he wasn't quite used to from Ohio State just because the scheme was a little different. And we go out there, and we had just talked about it in the meeting room and just started emphasizing it, and it came up in practice. It was like 3rd and 7. D'Amico called a blitz. We were hot, and I mean he decisively ripped our hot answer, and it was like a downfield handoff, you know, and that's where it was kind of like, okay, we can go build stuff around this because he knows how to handle his issues and he can respond really quick to it.
Coach, everything feels so together right now with the players, the coaching staff. Do you trace some of this back to you and D'Amico Ryans being defensive quality control coaches back in, 2017? Because you guys were on the defensive side as quality control guys, and for those who don't know, you're in a cubicle basically grinding on film and doing whatever else it is you do, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt. Those were some fun times. I don't know if I've met new QC that loved breakdowns, like inputting information as much as D'Amico. I mean, he loved it. He just wanted to type in what run concepts were being run and what we call them and stuff like that. It was actually 2 years. It was 2017 and 2018. And I mean, it was awesome to just talk football. back then. You know, I had a little bit, not nearly as much as needed to do what I'm doing now, but I had a little bit of offensive background. And obviously he had a whole lot of defensive background, and we were both growing in the same scheme together. And just being able to talk about what an offense could do to take advantage of things, or what a defense needed to do to offset an offense's tendencies. Or, I mean, it was just endless back and forth. It was a lot of fun.
Coaches have often said that if you want to be a good offensive coach, go coach defense, or vice versa. How did that experience of coaching defense maybe give you a different look at, okay, what they're trying to do versus now you're on the offensive side? How much can you harken back to those years of, okay, I think I know what they want to do, as opposed to if you had been on one side of the ball the entire time? How does it kind of made you a better play caller, coach, coordinator, et cetera?
Yeah, I think it's massive. Mike Shanahan is the one who told me that. He knew I wanted to be an offensive coach, and he happened to be the head coach of Washington at the time, and he put me on defense and told me, like, if you want to coach offense one day, you need to know this. And that's why I started over there. And it took a long time to come back. But the answers that you arrive to on offense is just so much faster, because you understand how a defense is structured. You understand how it's rules-based and how you can try to take advantage of rules, or maybe make them play a rule so that you can expose a hole. Like, it just speeds up the process so much of understanding what you're trying to attack and why you're trying to attack it.
All right, what about Pro Football Focus? Because Johnny loves Pro Football.
Okay, stop it. I'm not the biggest fan.
Sometimes
for a
he
few
hasn't.
reasons,
But it's got to help, and you have to see the deficiencies in it as well. It's analytics, but it doesn't tell the whole story. How did it help you become a better coach?
Yeah, I would say, and I thought this even when I was there, any information is good information. It just depends on how you want to use it, you know? And they put a lot of time and work and dedication into what they do and why they do it the way they do it. And I mean, when I was there, I found value in just, like, they looked at the game a different way than I did as a coach. You know, there were a lot of little things maybe a coach would say, technique-wise, fundamental-wise, that someone doesn't do well on a specific play, or compromises the structure of a defense, and they don't necessarily look at that. They just say, did someone positively or negatively impact the play?
Okay.
Which kind of, when you remove yourself from the coaching lens, is an interesting way and a valuable way of looking at it. It's just different, you know? So I really learned a lot when I was there. And I also learned a whole lot about analytics and the amount of math and the amount of, brains that go well beyond the brains I have, that goes into a lot of that stuff. That, like I said, I think all the information is valuable. Nothing's perfect. Nothing ever will be perfect, you know? But being able to understand when and why you want to use it, definitely, even in coaching, helps.
Coach, to the degree that you can and would like to, can you take us through the halfback pass and the thought process and how you got to that thought process? Because pretty much the last two games you've been rolling offensively, what you're calling works within your scheme, all that kind of stuff, and then all of a sudden here comes this halfback pass. And I know Marc and I were talking about it during a break of the game. We're like, we didn't see that coming. Yeah. Can you kind of take us through your thought process of why you thought that was the right play, and what the timing and all that, and how it kind of came to be?
Yeah, I mean, anytime, obviously, we haven't been quite as good in the red zone as we want to be.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've been getting better without a doubt each week, but we still have some room to grow right there. And the big thing is, when you want to emphasize something, you need ways to help expedite the process. So, like, something where you can take advantage of people overplaying runs. And I think at that point we had run it on that drive a good amount, especially to Motor.
Yeah.
And we knew during the week that structurally it was there. I mean, we had saw it on film. Motor has an arm. He'd shown it in practice, you know, and we repped it a couple times in walkthrough. It worked exactly like the game did. Then we actually repped it in practice, and my man got a little excited and airmailed it a little bit, you know. But he put enough out there where you could just see he knew how to spin it.
Yeah.
And we were confident in the structure. We just had to make sure that they were willing to play run.
Yeah.
And at that point, we had been running it on that drive. It was set up. And we just felt confident that Dalton and Devin were going to be able to go out and execute it.
Yep.
Your dad is still an assistant in Canada, right?
He is.
Wow.
So what kind of conversations do you have now as far as coaching goes? He's talking about, well, second down is the big money down as opposed to third down. There's an exchange rate with the CFL. What kind of conversations are you guys having these days?
There's a lot, and a lot of them involve things that we're not allowed to do.
Yeah.
You know, like multiple motions.
Yeah.
Right.
They can motion everybody, which would be awesome for us on offense. But obviously, we're limited in that regard. And they have an extra guy on the field. Like there's a lot different, but it's still at the end of the day, there's a lot of concepts that carry over. There's a lot of things that you still try to take advantage. It's still football, you know. So he always, about once or twice a week, he'll text me or call me and either tell me something that happened to him in their game up in Calgary, or vice versa. He'll be like, "Hey, you should do this." I don't know how they stop it. You know, he loves it, and I love it. It's fun.
I don't know how it is for you, Coach. I'm the same. I grew up with a dad who was a football coach. And how long into your conversations with your pops, how long after, hey, how's the family, do you get into, hey, we saw this defensive look? Because for me and my dad, it's like 30 seconds. It's like, hey, Pops, how you doing? Good. How you doing? Good. How are the kids? Good. Hey, did you see what this team did? How long does it take when you two are on the phone talking?
Probably 5. It's probably like he'll finish off with how's the family, how's the kids, but it's hello, what's
And you
going
get ready to
on,
ball.
and then his ball. Oh yeah, and then obviously the family and the children conversations last longer than the football conversations.
Of course,
but it doesn't take long to get there for sure.
At some point in the offseason, I want to get into this long form, but give me something on Michigan Tech. Playing at Michigan Tech, which is north of everything that you can imagine.
It's a terrible place to go for a wide receiver. But not because of the offense or the school. I mean, it was awesome. I think at the time I went there, I don't know if this still is true. At the time I went there, it got more snowfall than any college in the United States. I mean, I think it was like a 3-year run where there was a 6-month period that they would mark down from November to, I want to say like
May.
April of 100% snow, you know, like every day.
Right. Lake effect.
You got it. It's on a peninsula with a canal running right by. I mean, it's just set up for snowfall. So it was cold. There was a lot of snow, but I mean, it was a lot of fun. I have a lot of good friends that I still talk to this day that I played with up there and you know, that are doing well.
All right, Coach. Thanks a lot for joining us. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you. Appreciate it.